We're in Sacramento out at the California Automobile Museum, and I'm here with Carly. Carly, how long has this place been here?
Yeah, this museum has been here since the late 80s, and it's gone through a lot of changes since then. Originally, we were the Tao Ford Museum with only Fords in here, and then over the years, it kind of changed for different reasons, and in 2009, we officially changed to the California Automobile Museum.
About how many cars are on display at any given time?
Yeah, we have about 150, and that rotates depending on what kind of displays we're doing, or Car Club might be on display that month and things like that, but average is about 150.
This car that's behind us, can you tell me about this one?
Yeah, this is called the Marquis, and this is a custom car. It was actually customized in the 60s, although the actual base chassis is from 1956.
This is really cool. Oh my goodness, like you put, look, bottoms down right here, the outdoors.
Yeah, this is really an area you can see California coming to life with the cars. Yosemite, that's what this is displaying. And the cars really help to bring people out into the great outdoors right after all these national parks were made. So 1915, 1920s, you start to see a lot more cars, a lot more visitors to our national parks. It's like Yosemite here in California.
And what about this side over here? This is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, as automobiles grew, you start to see more of an infrastructure for automobiles. Highway cafes, garages, motels, motor hotels, those kind of things all start to come up. Then you also have things like the Lincoln Highway. It was the first transcontinental highway. So we have a display here on that as well.
Oh, okay, that's what this is right here?
Exactly, so you can actually sit in that Model T if you want.
Oh, I can?
Pretend like you're on the Lincoln Highway.
Oh, okay, pretend I'm on the Lincoln Highway. Now, when you say Lincoln Highway, where was the Lincoln Highway?
Lincoln Highway went all the way from San Francisco over into the East Coast. It went all the way across the country. They laid it on one day officially with Boy Scouts putting cement markers like this.
Really?
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been paved. This is a little idealistic view of it. It would have been much more of a rougher road, but it was still the first thing that connected the country besides the railroad.
Well, it's like a post office?
Yeah, Model Ts and Model As. This is a Model A by Henry Ford. They were used in very many different ways. They were really adaptable. So in this one, it was turned into a U.S. mail truck. So over here on the left, we have our 1920s cars. So this is really when people started to use cars more. Because cars were so common, it actually gave a lot of freedom to people. Cars were more affordable now, so people could own their own car and travel themselves. This whole display here is talking about mechanics and a Phil's garage. So we kind of have this mock setup here, but it also is our working garage for our volunteers. We have volunteer mechanics that keep our cars on the road. So we have about a dozen cars that keep running. We take them out to community events and things like that. So we have a Model T and a 1956 Hudson Metropolitan being worked on at the same time, and it's just a lot of fun.
Rayleigh's Market right here, obviously big up here in Sacramento area.
Yeah, Rayleigh's was one of the first ones in the area to have this drive-in setup. As cars were becoming more and more important in our lives, people wanted to drive them everywhere. So they started to include areas for cars so they could just back right into it, load up their produce or whatever it is they wanted at the market, and then go. So thinking that car-oriented businesses. The story behind the Jeep is absolutely fascinating. When we're starting to get ready for war, the U.S. military decided that they wanted to have a vehicle that could be a four-wheel drive on multiple terrains, and they sent out bids to multiple companies. Well, the small little company called Bantam here came up with this perfect design. They already had a small car that they were selling that weren't very popular, doing well financially, and they came up with this great design for a small military vehicle. The military gave them the award of the best car, but they didn't have the ability to produce in high value. So Ford and Willys actually produced all of the Jeeps. But Ford and Willys Jeeps look pretty much identical to each other, but this was basically the military vehicle of World War II.
We have some hot rods over here.
This is actually our racing area. We have everything from midgets like these ones, and these have a real California story. They look small, but they're actually for full-grown adults. So we have things from the early racers, a Model T. We have a Cobra in here, a real Shelby Cobra.
When I think of California, I can't help but think of the Woody.
Right, a lot of people think that because of the surfer culture.
When I think of a Woody, I just think of the outside, but I really don't think much of the inside. But there's a lot of wood on the inside of this too, right?
Yeah, these are two different types of Woodies. This is a Woody that actually has wood framing, and that's how a lot of the early cars traditionally were. All these big station wagons, they had to be made with wood because we didn't have the ability to do these large sheets of steel in the early days of cars. While this one is a steel framed and all the metal, and then the wood is put on to give the illusion still of the Woodies that people really liked.
Talk to me about these fins.
Yeah, fins are always people's favorites. especially Cadillac, but in the 1950s, people were just embracing the fins on the back of the cars. And so we have a 1959 Cadillac, and that really was the one that was the epitome and the end-all be-all of the craziness of fins. After this, things started to get toned down a little bit more.
Carly, I'm a little confused. You said you wanted to show me this car?
Yes.
In this museum with all these other good-looking, amazing, incredible cars. This car? What's the story behind this car?
This one has a great story. It's a 1974 Plymouth Satellite, but in 1974, Jerry Brown became governor for the first time. And this was the car. It was a statement piece going against the limos and things like that. He pulled it out of stock for the state of California cars, and that was going to be his car, to be affordable and frugal. And so it's a really iconic car from Californians in the 70s. So we had the big 50s American cars, and this was kind of the other side that was happening in the 50s. People are starting to have two-car garages, so they can have different types of cars. You start to get more imports, different types of cars. They have multiple cars in one family, and different styles are being shown. This 1949 Bug is a super early one, and as best as we can tell, we believe it to be one of the first 10 cars to come to California for promotional reasons by Volkswagen.
Wow, so this is possibly one of the first 10 cars that came over from Germany or from Volkswagen?
Yeah, from Volkswagen in Germany. They brought it over into the United States. They would do these little tours with promotional vehicles, and we believe this to be one of them.
It's cool. So you have several Mustangs in here.
Yeah, Mustangs were obviously an iconic part of American car culture. The Boss 302, the racing version of the Mustang.
Yeah.
So a lot of different things change.
Wow, so we have DeLorean, was that Ferrari, Lamborghini, Mercedes, Trans Am, and this. Why is this Pacer here?
Yeah, a lot of people are confused as to why we have this 1977 AMC Pacer. But it is a car that brings out the passion in people. It's really symbolic of the 70s, right after the gas crisis, trying to find different types of small cars.
This feels like a natural for me.
It looks really good on you.
Thank you. Oh, I pushed a button, that's okay, right?
Yeah, this car is made for people to sit in right now.
And push buttons in. Look at the gear shifters way down here. Riding on the road as a motorcycle, shifting down here?
This was a custom-made one, made by a custom auto builder who also rode motorcycles, and he wanted something a little more comfortable.
In terms of proximity to downtown Sacramento, where are you located?
Yeah, we're located just south of Old Sacramento off of Broadway, and that's right next to downtown Sacramento. The museum is open 6 days a week, every day except Tuesday, and we're open from 10 to 5.
All right, well, thank you so much. If we can get the battery turned on, I'm gonna roll on out of here, but you can roll on in here at the California Automobile Museum. This is pretty cool.